Hi, my name is Monte Tilgner with the Iowa High School Athletic Association. This will be a review of some plays across the state of Iowa from week 6. We've got 13 plays to look at. We're going to start out with, I believe, 4 plays on holding and some really good calls and a couple that we need to learn from. So this first one here, we're going to have a really good call by our umpire on this scrimmage kick play. And remember, umpire, you've got the guy's line of scrimmage trying to get off and release downfield. And then you've got that second and third wave in the middle after you pivot. So on this case, we're going to have a hold, and how we announce this is always very important. So we would like to announce this as to our crew um, after the play as during the kick, holding return team number 33. And when we say during the kick, that should be a trigger for our crewmates that we have a PSK foul, which we're going to enforce then from the end of the kick. So our back judge then is going to be keyed into the fact that he needs to make sure his beanbag is at the right yard line and that he knows the lateral ball location of that end of the kick as well, because that's where we're going to enforce the penalty from. So let's take a look here. Our umpire is stepping up towards the line, which is good. Allows him to pivot a little quicker. And you can see we're going to have a takedown here. The team in gray is the return team. And you can see this player definitely takes him to the ground. So we're going to have our flag that's going to come out by our umpire. And remember, this is a PSK foul. The end of the kick is the positive 49. So that will be our basic spot. And we're at position 5. So that means we're going to go 10 yards back and we will be at the negative 41 yard line, position 5, after the enforcement of this penalty. And remember, we always go on the snap when we have a kick play. So it brings back a touchdown, but that's the way it is when they foul. So look at our beanbag toss here. And a lot of times our beanbag toss is not going to be right on, and that's okay. We just need to know, that in this case we need to adjust it. So we went about 3 yards too far. Just get that back to the proper location and ball position as well. So excellent call by our umpire. This is another really good call, a takedown or a hold during the return, called by our back judge, who does a great job of diagonaling in like what we want. You should be diagonaling in 5 to 10 yards, but he's doing a nice job coming in and looking where he should be. He's got that kind of that quarter of the field there for those players. And he sees that takedown hold right there, pretty much tackles the guy. And you can see our flag coming in. Right here's our flag coming in, gets to about here, I believe. So the foul is here at the let's just say the 35 yard or the 25 yard line to make it easy. The end of the return, end of the run is the 15. So remember how we announce this is going to be important. And during the return, so we have a running play then. And if we have a running play, the basic spot's the end of the run. Our foul's in advance of that. So we do not have to adjust our flag. If our flag ended up right here, we would not have to move our flag. So during the return, holding return team number 20, this foul will be enforced half the distance from the end of the run. It would be a great way to announce that to the crew, and our referee announcement would be very similar to that as well. So great job, great pickup by our umpire or our back judge. Okay, this is a good one to learn from. This is a type of takedown hold called a snatch down, where they grab the player generally right in the chest plate and they just snatch them down to the ground. Sometimes I might grab them on the shoulder pads, but you'll see it really well here. And then we're also going to take a look at this illegal shift by the receiver. Let's focus on the hold first. So let's just take a look here at what he does. You can see he grabs him at the shoulder pads and just jerks him down to the ground. Allows the quarterback to get right past, and the quarterback ends up going in for a touchdown. So that's what a snatch down hold looks like. Again, there it is right there. Boom, pulling him down. This is a foul that we would want called. About the only time we would not want that called is that occurs the same time that quarterback is releasing the ball in a pass, um, or on a screen pass if that is just being passed as well. So let's go back and take a look at this illegal shift right here by this receiver. So this number 2 receiver, I think he thinks he's on the line too tight, so he's going to back up. Problem is, everybody has been set. Okay, so everybody's been set. Now he backs up and does not get set, so he's not completed that shift. He has to be stopped for a second to complete that shift. So that's an illegal shift. And let's go back and talk about the penalty enforcement then. If we got the hold, we would want to go 10 yards from the spot or from the previous spot for the hold. If we do not get the hold, but we get the illegal shift, then we're going to go 5 yards from the previous spot. And we know that since we did have a score on the play, the clock would be on the snap, no matter which foul they did enforce. This is just an example where we got to raise our threshold on holding fouls. This is one that we would not want called. There's just nothing here. Brings back a touchdown. So take a look. We have our hand. This is just really good blocking. Our hands are extended out in front of the body. He continues to contact this player, to drive this player. There's no restriction. Okay, he can take him down to the ground if he continues to just block him, drive block him like this. But there's no restriction on this. It's just a drive block, and then he lets go. And we need to have a higher threshold. So let's take a look at full speed first, and then we'll come back and take a look in slow motion here. Just continuing to drive this player. And I mean, that little maybe kind of grab here, right here, he doesn't affect that player at all. So that's not enough. We just want a higher threshold for our fouls. This is an interesting one. It's probably coming because we had one in college that was missed a few weeks ago, and happened in a Big 12 game. No, SEC game, I believe it was. Anyway, if it happens in college and a high school coach sees it, he's going to try to replicate it. So this hideout play, it's a different rule in high school than college, but it's still 15-yard previous spot penalty. So hideout play. The verbiage in high school is using substitution or pretended substitution to deceive opponents at or immediately before the snap or free kick, and that is a foul for illegal participation in NFHS rules, and that's Rule 964. So you can see we got some players coming off. We're all good, okay, and then they shift. So they only got 10 players on the field right now. They're going to shift, and then our coach is going to send in this player here after he sees the defense all goes in. He's going to set up, and fortunately, since we didn't have a flag, fortunately the quarterback did not make a good pass, and the guy got tripped up, and they did not score on this. But this is a 15-yard foul for illegal participation, and that's going to be a live ball foul at the snap and 15 yards from the previous spot. And in this case, we had our runner in bounds, so we would have the clock on the ready for play. Something you don't see every day, but definitely a foul. Another correct call for illegal personal contact against a defenseless player. We're doing a much better job of these, and that's great. I wish our coaches would understand it better because I was actually observing this game. The coach was not very happy at all with the call. It's an excellent call by our back judge, but they just don't understand this rule well enough, some of them. But this is 100% a foul. Very good call by our back judge. You can see big hit there. And I mean, if they're making these big hits to try to dislodge the ball and they don't wrap up, it's a foul. So here's our rule. If you don't want this to be a foul, you need to wrap up on the hit. You need to use extended open hands to push the opponent down, or you need to be making a play on the ball. And you can find that in the rule book in Rule 2 and Rule 9. So But we're doing a much better job of getting these called properly. So nice job by our officials. All right, ineligible receiver downfield, ineligible player downfield is better terminology. IDP needs to be called tighter on an RPO play, run pass option, and this will do a good job of showing you why. So you can see there's our fake, and he's reading the defense to determine if he's going to hand that ball off for the run or he's going to pull it and then make a pass. The problem is we have players who are blocking downfield. So if they get more than 2 yards, then we know that's a potential for a foul if we have a legal pass that crosses the line of scrimmage. And we do want it to be, definitely where that core of that body is at least 3 yards. We don't want to nitpick it even when it's an RPO, but we do want to call it a little tighter, probably a yard tighter when it's RPO. So here's why this is needs to be called a little tighter on RPOs. This defender right here, he reads run right now. So he is going to give up on this guy and come up and play the run. Guy slips behind him and he's wide open. Lines here just show this is our line of scrimmage, and this is the feet of our lineman, which is a good 4 yards downfield. So nice job. That's one that we would want called, um, especially when we have an RPO. All right, we're doing a much better job on our blindside blocks as well. So good job, officials. Keep it up. Remember, open that vision. Look for that guy with the brick in his hand. So this is going to be after an interception. So again, our announcement to the crew is very important. This would be announced after the interception during the return illegal blindside block. Intercepting team number 23, and I'm moving my flag to the spot of the foul. And when you say you're moving your flag to the spot of the foul, that tells everybody that you're going to enforce it from that spot. So that means that the run ended up going beyond that spot and your flag isn't quite there. You're going to grab it, you're going to move it to the spot of the foul, and that's where we're going to enforce it. So let's take a look here. Here comes our interception. And blindside block is going to be called by the line judge. So great job. We know he does technically have forward progress on this, but he's got to get, let that play get in front of him now. But doing a very good job of opening up and looking at this action right here. And that we're going to see the blindside block is going to occur against this player right here. That is a real easy one. As far as forcible contact, that's a no-brainer. Excellent job. Excellent call by our line judge. Really would have liked the back judge to see this as well. Remember, back judges, you do not have responsibility for the runner in progress after an interception. You are supposed to help out on especially that player with the brick in his hand. So really good pickup by the line judge. And back judges, let's really work on opening up that vision and getting those as well. So nice job. All right, another one, illegal blindside block, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. You call it whichever, doesn't matter. But this is definitely one that we got and we need to get. So this is just a player who's got a brick in his hand. He's just looking for someone to lay out, and this is a foul. We need to get it called. Excellent job here, looking at that player, with the brick in his hand from a long way by our umpire. So great job, umpire. Nice job of coming in, diagonally into the 45 at the hash, which is exactly where we want you to be. And then, looking about at what you need to and finding that player right there who's going to come in and just lay this player out. I mean, everybody's letting up. The guy's probably out of bounds. And there's our forcible hit. So, like I said, you could call that a personal foul, unnecessary roughness. You could call it a illegal blindside block. Doesn't matter. It's a 15-yard foul. And where is this going to be enforced from is a little tougher. A long ways away, but let's take a look. This runner is going out of bounds. Look at he goes out of bounds at maybe the 22. and the foul occurs right about that same spot. So if that foul would be behind the end of that run, we would go from the spot of the foul. If it occurs, at the same spot, then we're going to go from that dead ball spot. We would be at position 5 one way or another. Okay, yeah, Jared sent me this one. He's like, haven't seen this one in a long time. But there's the rule, no 943E. No player shall position himself on the shoulders or body of a teammate or an opponent to gain an advantage. So um, this covers what is called leverage in other levels of football rule books, NFL, NCAA. We have what's called leverage, and this is what it is. But that terminology is not used in high school. But this is the rule that circumferences a leverage type foul. So you can see here, we just got a regular try, and we're going to have this player who is going to jump up in the air, and then his teammate is going to grab him from the hips and try to propel him up in the air further. And why do we need to call this if they made the try? Because remember, in NFHS rules, any foul by the non-scoring team can be enforced on the try or the succeeding kickoff. Um, if this score was a touchdown, it could be on the try or the kickoff. If it's a try, it can only be enforced. My bad. It could be enforced to repeat the try and half the distance and go for 2 if they want. Otherwise, they could accept that on the kickoff. So take a look here. You can see kind of comical. His teammate jumps up and he grabs him and he tries to throw him up in the air a little higher. That is a foul for leverage. Not only is it trying to gain an advantage, it's a possible safety issue as well. So 15-yard foul that could be enforced in this case on the succeeding kickoff, or if they wanted to, they could enforce it half the distance on the try and then go for 2. This is just a great call by our headline judge. Really, really nice work. So 2 forward passes. Remember, our referee in this case he's not going to have a very good angle to know if this first one is forward or not. That's the responsibility of our line of scrimmage officials, right? And we've said that that this can be picked up by our line judge or our headline judge. In this case, it's coming right at our headline judge. So he's got this first one is forward, and then when that second one comes out, here comes his flag. So I'll watch it. Here comes his flag out, tossing it. So we'll come back and discuss now. Uh, now that we know what we have, okay, we got to think about our enforcement. So remember, this is an illegal forward pass. This is a second this is a illegal forward pass because it's the second forward pass. So that is 5 yards from the spot of the foul. In this case, it's going to be half the distance because he's thrown this from the 1. But remember, if this player would be in the end zone and make this pass, then we would have a safety by rule because the penalty was by the offense in the end zone. But in this case, we're going to go from the 1-yard line back to the half-yard line and from position 5. And we are going to repeat the down. And we have looks like we have a completed catch or we have an interception. We have a completed catch, so we would be on the ready for play. So excellent job, good rules knowledge, and good observation by our headline judge. Okay, I think this might be our last play, but anyway, onside kick rules. These are really tough. So we don't have an obvious onside kick here, so we've only got our K line covered and our R line covered. We do not have 4 in the box. But here's our rules. Okay, so this is things you got to keep in mind. Let's take a look. First of all, this is a dribbler kick. Okay, it's not a pooch. It's not a one bounce. It's not high enough to be a one bounce. That we're gonna rule dead. This is a dribbler, and when we have a dribbler, the rules that usually get breached are this. So no member of the kicking team shall initiate contact to block an opponent until the free kick has traveled 10 yards. The kicking team is eligible to recover it, or the receiving team initiates a block within the neutral zone. So if the receiving team comes up to block, we know that's off. Okay. The other one we got to be thinking about on these dribblers are the first touching. So 617, if any K player touches a free kick before it crosses R's free kick line and before it's touched there by any R players, referred to as first touching. R may take this ball to the spot of first touching or any spot if there's more than one spot of first touching, or they may choose to have the ball put into play determined by the action which follows the first touching. So, and then this is the rule here for the enforcement 10-4-2 exception. The basic spot, remember, on a kick play by Team K is the succeeding spot, or we can back them up and re-kick. So let's just take a look here. Here's our dribbler coming slowly. Okay, our ball, like I said, a lot of times on these dribblers, the ball ends up being behind the players, some of the players. So we've got the ball right here at 9 yards, and we've got a K player who is definitely initiating the block of an R player. Here's the thing, it doesn't matter that this block is beyond 10 yards. What matters is we have a block that is occurring before the ball is 10 yards. So the location of the block could be short of 10, or in this case, beyond 10. If that block occurs before the ball has gone 10 yards, we've got a foul for an illegal block. Okay, so we did not get a flag down on this block, but the crew did a great job of knowing that we had first touching. So they went with first touching and gave them the ball at the 49-yard line is what they should have done. And if we have the illegal block, then remember all fouls by K, except for KCI, can be enforced in the previous spot or the dead ball spot, the choice of Team R. So in this case, the first touching spot is the dead ball spot. So since the let's see who recovered this ball. This ball was recovered by the kicking team, but because we have the dead ball spot at the first touching spot, they can enforce, and they're not legally possessing that ball because it's not beyond 10 yards. We can enforce this 10-yard foul for the illegal block from the dead ball spot and go 10 yards from the positive 49 to the positive 39, and it would be first down for the receiving team. The clock would be on the snap because we have a legal kick play. So those blocks are really tough, but that's what we want to try to see if we can get it. Excellent job though of getting the first touching. Okay, yeah, we do have a couple more. Sorry. To be a foul, blindside block doesn't have to be a decleating block. We've seen some of those, but it just has to be forcible and outside the vision of the opponent. So this is one this is a foul. So here comes our play, and we're going to highlight this in a crew review. So this is the player that's going to come back, and he's just going to come right back here, and he's going to get this guy. So again, my bad, wrong guy, but you can see him come there. So here he comes. He's going to get this guy right here, and that is forcible enough. Okay, player ends up getting hurt on the play. It's not a decleating block, but it is forcible outside the vision. They can't protect themselves and higher rate of injury, and that's one reason why the safety foul was put into play. So excellent call there, and one we would want called. We're going to bring that back and enforce that from the spot of the foul. Okay, that's all our plays for this week. Great job again. Keep working hard, and let's keep improving. Always things we need to improve on, but I think we're really getting better, especially at our safety fouls, our illegal blindside blocks, and those type of things. Work on increasing the threshold for our fouls on offensive holding. So thank you, and we'll talk to you again next week.